autodidact. It's not a word we hear very often, but it means to be self-taught. And in this video, I'm going to explain why it's really important to become an autodidact. Welcome ladies and gentlemen, my name is Martin Adams, and in this video we're going to be talking about the word autodidact. It is so important that I've decided to rebrand my YouTube channel around this word, to be self-taught. It's something that aligns with what I value about what I'm trying to achieve myself, to continually gaining skills and embody that into the work that I do and into myself to be a happier and better person. So, why be self-taught? Why be curious enough to continue learning? We go through education to get a job, essentially, to function in this world, to gain the necessary skills so that we can live our lives. But it turns out that the education we get is really just enough to tick boxes in order to fulfill the requirements of a job and live in society to a certain degree. But there are lots of things they don't teach you in education. For example, they don't teach you personal budgeting. At least I'd never learned that. They don't teach you about the importance of continuing to learn. They don't actually teach you how to continue studying through to adulthood. They don't teach you about mindfulness and meditation. There's so much information out there, so many skills that we can gain that we don't have access to through a formal setting in education. And what happens is we leave education and we make decisions about our life, our philosophy of life, which is very important, and we try to function in a way that fits in, and then we want to try and make something, advance our career, buy a house, all those kind of things. And it turns out that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be responsible for the outcome of our lives, to make enough money, to have a mortgage, to buy a house, to try and advance our careers. There's nobody there after education that will generally help us through that process. And in my experience, I've met far too many people now who generally spend their 20s after education, 20s to 30s, just trying to find some sense of routine in their lives. Maybe find a partner, get married, have kids. That can go into the 30s and beyond, that's fine. But there comes a point where you start to realize that you get to a stage where the next 20 to 30 years of your life will look exactly the same, where your career and the jobs you choose will continue. You've hit enough of those milestones, leaving school, leaving college, leaving university, getting your first job, getting married, having kids, and then you're like, okay, tick, 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 what's next? And generally the next thing on the list is retirement. And you're like, okay, that's quite interesting. So it's probably why a lot of people hit their 40s and start reevaluating their lives. I haven't got to that point yet. I think I've kind of pulled it earlier because I'm a bit of a strategist in terms of long-term thinking. I like to plan for the future, always have. So I'm always trying to figure out what I need to be doing today so that I can build a better future. And over the last 3 to 4 years, I really immersed myself in audiobooks. And the transformation has been incredible, really incredible. And it's made me realize it's almost like opening Pandora's box and finding out there's this world of knowledge that traditionally I would have dismissed. I would have said, do you know what? I'm not really into what philosophers say. I'm not really into what the Stoics say. I'm not really into reading books about psychology or health. I'm a computer programmer, so I'm going to focus down on learning the next piece of technology, and that's all great, right? But it turns out that Well, there's a great Stoic mindset that a man cannot stand in the same river twice. And the reason is because when he stands in it a second time, he is not the same man. And reading and books are the same. You can read a book in your 20s and you can read it in your 30s, and you will see that book very differently because you will be a different person in your 30s. So essentially what I've realized is the value of learning, the value of continuing to expand my mindset and embody new ideas, new knowledge. It doesn't have to be new knowledge, actually. The works of the Stoics and the great philosophers are really valuable when you look at it through the right lens in today's society, when we have a very connected relationship with technology. We're not equipped to deal with that without some level of comprehension about how we deal with ourselves. And the Stoics have a great way of being able to articulate a mindset around how we build relationships, especially online relationships, how we deal with the need for having access to everything and being okay with things not quite being okay. So it's incredible that I would have dismissed that in my 20s. But here we are. I've discovered it. Who'd have thought? I've discovered reading, right? It's great. But the information inside is just really tangible in being able to live a happier life. And this is something I've experienced over the last 4 years, listening to audiobooks. And let me tell you, there's a great thing that I've come across in terms of how we as a human operate. We have 3 parts of the brain. We have the computer part, which is our memory. We have the chimp part, which is our emotional driven, very reactive. And we have our human part, which is the logical reasoning. And we forget to continually reframe how we should feel about things. We go through life and we choose. No, we don't choose. We just settle into a habit of thinking a certain way, behaving a certain way. For example, you could be in a busy shopping center and someone cuts in front of you. And you could have a trained response to, well, if you're British, you'd be like, oh, that would be a trained response. It's a negative response. It's a dissatisfaction. It's a frustration. But you didn't choose to do that in that moment. You were programmed to do that. Your chimp brain decided, how should I feel when this event happens? Your computer part of the brain says, well, you have to be frustrated, right? Because that's what we do. That's the natural thing. So you respond and you don't know you're doing it. And we go through life with all these little ways of responding to situations that essentially are programmed responses that we didn't choose. And similar to that, we have a philosophy of life that we didn't choose. How we feel about money, how we feel about relationships, how we feel about our peers, how we feel about politics and our career. All these we settle in just through fitting in or fitting into what society has trained us to, or trying to rebel against that. But nonetheless, it's not something we necessarily decided. So reading and being able to continually listen, I listen to audiobooks, trying to read more now. What that does is allows my human part of the brain, the logical processing part of the brain, to reprogram the stored memories attached to those things into the computer part of the brain, such that when something happens, a spontaneous thing happens, a decision needs to happen, my chimp part of the brain consults, how should I feel? And with enough reprogramming of the brain, I can change how I respond to situations. And give an example, someone cuts in front of me, I can say to myself, there's no point being upset. In fact, I want to choose to be appreciative of being able to stand here and just relax my mind. Simple things like that. Standing in a queue for 10 minutes can be the longest, most frustrating 10 minutes of your life, or could be a mental break where you get to clear your mind, run down your thoughts, do a bit of on-the-spot meditation. You can choose how you want to respond. You need to reprogram the computer part of your brain so that in that moment you become in control and you decide what it is you want to do. And that's what I found with these audiobooks, is it's a continual reprogramming, and it has changed how I feel. Some books really impact me and make me generally more relaxed in stressful situations. It makes me happier. I'm looking forward to the future way more, not because of anything in particular that I'm working towards, because I know that every day I have an opportunity to practice the techniques that I love so much of being able to advance, become a better person, be the best version of myself. So it all really comes down to teaching yourself new ways of doing things, teaching yourself how to be the best version of yourself. And autodidact is a great word that encompasses that, to be self-taught. So this for me is now the start of the rebranding of my YouTube channel, based around being better at teaching yourself to continually advance. And we're going to cover lots of areas that I have found useful. It's a way for me to solidify my understanding of what it is that I have taught, to create a record of my learning at this point in time. But more importantly, to help inspire you to go on your autodidact journey, to introduce you to new concepts, new ideas. The path that I take will be different to the path that you should be taking, but there will be nuggets of information, nuggets of practices that help you, that make a tangible difference, and that's important. And for me, this is really a wonderful thing, knowing that tomorrow I can be advancing in my happiness, in my health, in my enjoyment of life more than I have today. And sure, every day won't go easy, that's fine, but having then a framework to know that you can go through the ebbs and flow of life, but you're on an ascending path. I can't actually express in words the appreciation that I feel always. The appreciation that the fact that I'm on this planet, living my life with access to this knowledge, and the curiosity is there to want to embody that, to learn, to know that tomorrow I can discover something new that I didn't know today. That's a wonderful thing. And I never want to stop that. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, they're very successful, but they attribute an awful lot of their energy into reading and learning. They're just so curious, and they know how all this information can help them in their day-to-day. Sure, they're on the extreme of they're very successful. But if you want to be someone who has a cause, you want to be a great leader, you want to run your own business, you want to you see a future state of this world and you want to be part of that, then being an autodidact, to continually self-learn, will be the difference of fumbling through it to thriving in it. And that is incredible. And if you just want to live a content life and remove the complications that interfere with your enjoyment of life, then being an autodidact helps you create the right mindset around things and really improve on your experience of the day-to-day. So I think it's really important. these videos, I'm going to keep it fairly flexible, and the important thing is I just want to have incremental improvements. I'm going to call this Season 1, Autodidact Season 1. I'm going to do a series of videos like this, and then I'm going to change something and try and upgrade. And I hope that by the time we get to Season 4, 5, 6, we'll see a transformation in how the skills that I've learned get embodied into this video. And you can see that happening. And it's just exciting. So thank you very much. Leave in the comments what you feel towards being an autodidact. What is it that's stopping you? What is the thing that you don't quite believe? Ultimately, I want you on this journey to find your path. This is part of my why, part of my mission, to be a positive influence in other people's lives so that they can find happiness and live the life that they want to craft, right? I want to help. And in order to do that, I need to listen. So if you're not there, if you're not sure how to start, if you've got a specific question, put them in the comments, and that can help me understand where I can contribute in future videos and help. So thank you very much, and catch you in the next one.